Hi there! Today I have a video featuring my newest stamp set collaboration for Honeybee Stamps called Pretty Poinsettias. This floral holiday set features 2 large poinsettia stamps, a pine cone bough, holly berries and leaves, so many different ways to build a large-scale holiday bouquet. For today's project, I have heat embossed several images from the Pretty Poinsettias stamp set onto some white Neenah cardstock using VersaFine's smoky gray pigment ink and covered it with silver pearl embossing powder. The combination results in a beautiful pearlescent charcoal color, a bit softer and less stark than the typical black stamped images. I like to keep my projects as color coordinated as possible, so I paired the charcoal embossing with a warm gray burlap cover plate die cut using the new burlap cover plate from the latest Honeybee release, as well as the new Joy Buzzword die and sentiment using some dark charcoal foil. I'll list all of the products below in the description as well as on my blog. When coloring with Copic markers, I always like to choose at least 4 colors, a light, medium, and dark value, then a super dark value. Sometimes if the Copic spectrum doesn't have a dark enough value in that particular color family, I will use a dark gray or brown depending on which family I'm using. But RV99 is a super dark maroon that is perfect with the RV69, RV17, and RV09 trio I'm using today. I start by coloring the petals on the top layer of the large poinsettia bloom using just the light, medium, and dark trio, first laying down the dark value towards the center of the flower and the center of each petal pulling along the vein, then pulling the dark shade out with the medium, and finally the light values, always following the curve of the petals to maintain the shape of the curve. I always start with the areas closest to the light source, which helps me visualize the darker shadows of the layer of petals underneath. For the petals beneath the top layer, I use the same process but add in the super dark value, in this case RV99, again pulling that color out with the dark, medium, and light values. You can see what a huge difference the addition of that 4th color makes to add extra depth to the petals beneath. I do go back later and add a few touches of the RV99 to the petals on top that are tucked behind other petals, just to add a bit more definition and pop to the top petals. I follow the same process with the rest of the images, but for the majority of these smaller foliage and fillers, I only use 2 to 3 markers. The large petals have room to really dig down into the shadows and depth because there's plenty of room for a smooth blend outward, but the smaller images don't really have enough space to do such a large amount of blending. I follow the same technique as before with the poinsettia leaves, following the curves of the drawing and allowing the contrast between the curved areas to create the depth and shadows. For the holly berries, I try to indicate that the center leaf is directly behind another leaf by using the contrast of the light versus dark. The edges of the top leaf are light because it's closer to the light source, while the leaf behind is shadowed. The contrast of the two helps your brain to see depth and shadows and the curvature of the leaves. Finally, after die cutting the Copic colored images from Pretty Poinsettias with the coordinating honey cuts, I began arranging them on my A2 card front. I started by placing my poinsettia approximately where I wanted it to be in the finished product, then moved on to just moved the foliage, berries, and pine cones around until I found an arrangement that I liked. I tried to distribute the pops of color evenly, making sure that there was not too much of any one color in one concentrated area, while also keeping the top left corner open for my greeting. Once I had my die cuts arranged in their final positions, I used an old trick that I learned from Lori Willison ages ago to add the adhesive: press and seal. I hate spending all of that time working to create the perfect floral arrangement just to have to rework it when adding the adhesive, so this trick is perfect. You simply place a piece of press and seal, yes, like the kind that you get at the grocery store, over the top of your arrangement, then pick it up your entire arrangement in one fell swoop. Then you can add the adhesive of choice to the back. I first made certain that the arrangement would stay in one piece by adding bits of washi tape over the seams, then added lots and lots of foam adhesive. I removed the adhesive release paper, picked up the entire thing while still attached to the press and seal, then adhered everything to the card front, pressing down firmly to ensure that none of the little bits would come off when I removed the press and seal. Next, I added the sentiment from the new Buzzword's Joy stamps and dies. I had die cut the joy from some charcoal foil cardstock and heat embossed the remainder of the greeting on some thin strips of white cardstock, again using the smoky gray ink with white satin pearl embossing powder combination. I added them with some more foam adhesive, then added a few gems for sparkle. Well, that's all for today's project. I hope you'll check out my blog for more projects using the Honeybee Stamps Holiday Cheer release, including my new Pretty Poinsettia stamp set. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up and hit the subscribe me button so that you don't miss anything from me in the future. Thanks so much for watching, and have a marvelous day.